Tyler, welcome, man, to another episode of Mocktales. Thanks for being here.
Hey,
Appreciate
dude.
you. So, I gotta say, man, I watched. For the viewers that don't know, you're part of a paranormal group here in Goshen
Yeah,
County, aren't you?
yeah, yep. We just had our 10-year anniversary last week.
What? 10 years already?
Yeah, yeah, 10 years already.
Dang, bro. I feel like that
Yeah,
just started.
it feels like it. It's flown.
Tell us about it, man. Where do you guys go, or
So
what's
it,
the recent thing?
it started with me and Ryan McCallan, and we just started talking interest about it, and stuff that we'd seen and everything like that. And we started our first ever investigation was here in Torrington. It was the old Trail Hotel there on Main Street. Used to be D&B Fine Furniture.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the town market now, if I believe. Yeah, there's an old school hotel upstairs and stuff like that, but we started going there and started catching a lot of cool stuff. And then we're 4 members or 5 members now. We got Chris Jenkins, Addie Madden, and then Chris Jenkins' daughter. So yeah, we've been just going all over the state of Wyoming. We're trying to get into different states and stuff like that, but since we're just non-funded other than our own funds, it's kind of hard to travel too far and with our daily lives, and kids and stuff like that. But
Cool, man. Yeah, that sounds
yeah,
interesting as heck, man. You know what? I've always wanted to be part of one, and I've been bugging you about it. I remember when we were in the McDonald's drive-thru. Remember that? I was sticking my head out the window. I
oh
was
right,
like, Tyler. You're like, what's
that's
up,
right,
man? And I was like, hey, when's the next investigation?
right. We're actually trying to plan something coming up here soon. We're just waiting to hear back from some places, but I think our next one we're going to try and get into is up in Hartville. So try and do that bar, the Stockmans. If
Yeah.
we can get in there, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, if all of our videos and stuff are on YouTube or our Facebook page too. So,
What's the YouTube channel called?
it is. Hang on, let me look it up for you real quick. Should have had this pulled up before. My bad.
Yeah, no worries, man. Yeah. And when we get you guys out there to get some people watching that, and hopefully you guys invite me.
Oh yeah, and we've actually kind of talked about like doing like some guest stuff, and
Yeah.
letting people come along and see what we do.
Oh, dude. I'll be freaking out when I'm with, so don't be bro. I'll be like, what was
Yeah,
that?
yeah, it's just Goshen Paranormal Society on YouTube,
Goshen Paranormal
and it,
Society.
yep, and then the same on Facebook too.
Cool. If you guys heard it there, man. Goshen Paranormal Society. Go check them out for sure. I watched some of your TikToks, man, and I saw that orb and it was like an eye when you guys zoomed
Oh
into
yeah,
it. I was like, what the I was like,
yeah, we some of the stuff we've like captured is crazy, and we don't really know that we captured it until we review our film footage and stuff like that or audio. A
hmm,
lot of it, yeah, it's surprising. I mean, that one was pretty definitive that there was an eyeball inside of it.
that was nuts, man. Yeah, if I go with you guys, I'll be the first one to walk in and be like, show yourself. Show
I'll
yourself.
try not to try not to
Ah!
get you possessed.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Nope. 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 I'll be right behind you the whole way, Tyler, like this. Just.
Yeah,
I'll be
human
like.
shield.
I'll be like, bro. Let's go back to back. I'll be like, back to back, bro. Like I hate places like that because I feel like somebody's behind me all the time. So whenever I
Oh,
see the
speaking that.
yeah, so whenever I see those people like on the TV shows like Ghost Hunters or like
Oh, right.
Project Fear and stuff, and their back is against an open doorway and it's perfectly dark and they're just sitting there, I'm like, dude, like I feel like somebody's just gonna be like
Right. And one of the scariest staircases that we've gone up and down is here at the Trail Hotel.
oh, I
We
think
even did the theater here in town too.
oh really?
Yeah,
Has some
we got
popcorn.
some pretty interesting stuff.
Well, man, tell you what, but Heard about your what was it, 60-day?
Yeah, I'm actually up to, here, let me pull up my app real quick. I am 86 days sober today.
86.
Yeah,
That's awesome, dude. I mean, that's a good. You should be proud. You know what I
I
mean,
am, dude.
dude? So many people try and can't even get past a week or 4 days, dude. So like
Right.
you, I'm proud of you. I'm sure a lot of other people are proud of you, man. What how did you get to that point? What made you want to stop, man? Like,
Well, I definitely wanted to stop for my kids, you know what I mean? And I grew up in a home where, because my mom's an alcoholic, so I didn't want my kids growing up seeing their dad as an alcoholic. 'Cause, being as an alcoholic, you think, oh, they don't know, they don't know. Well, they do know. I started picking up on it as a young age from my mom, and just the embarrassment of it, like I didn't want my kids to be embarrassed of me, like being at their events or, stuff like that. And plus I want to be here, and watch my kids graduate and, watch them grow up. And it was taking me down like a really bad road. Actually had to be put on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication because I was having anxiety attacks, like severe anxiety attacks. Um, that's actually what got me sober. Was I spent 2 days in the hospital, withdrawals, um, and anxiety. So that's actually what kinda started it, and then I've just kept it going since then.
so you just got tired of it, huh? And you knew what kind of was happening and why it was happening and what was causing it, I guess.
Yeah, and that's not even the reason I went in there, it was for the anxiety and, doctors ask, "Well, do you drink?" And it's like, "Well, yeah." So I seen that as my opportunity, it's like there's always that fear, like, you hear people dying from withdrawals and stuff like that, so it's like there's that fear too. It's like, "Well, maybe I don't," like, I don't wanna die just because I tried doing something that's good for me and my family, you know what I mean? So, I took that as my opportunity, when I went in for my anxiety. They asked me, they're like, "Well, do you want us to help you?" And I was like, "Yes." And so they set me up and admitted me, and that was my journey to the road to recovery. So,
Cool, man. Yeah, I mean, it stinks that it takes something like that to, because, dude, I remember anxiety attacks are no joke.
no.
Those things, and especially when you don't know what's going on or what they are, like,
Right.
oh,
Exactly.
I was like, am I having a heart attack? You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
and I'm the type of guy to keep internalize things and keep it, so I just sit
Yep.
there quietly and just kind of, go through it. And finally I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I talked to my
Yeah.
mom and I was like, "Mom," and I bet I was about 25, 24, 25. And I was like, "Mom," I was like, "I feel like I'm dying. Like, I don't know,
Mhm.
out of nowhere, I just feel like I'm gonna just drop dead."
Yep.
And she's like, "Well, maybe we should get you to the doctor and get checked." Well, so I go to the doctor and she's right there with me, and then I start feeling a little weird again. You can almost feel them like coming on.
Coming on. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm at the doctor. I'll be all right. So I finally get to the doctor and they check everything and they're like, "You're perfectly fine." And I'm like,
I know, and you feel stupid, but
"Yes."
at the time, you think you're literally dying. Like, I mean, I was shaking one time. We were in Denver. We went for one of, like, my son's doctor appointment, and the next day we had a bunch of stuff planned. We were gonna go to the aquarium and stuff like that. Well, we were staying in Aurora at one of the hotels, and I felt one coming on at, like, 3 o'clock in the morning in the hotel, and I mean, it was one of the worst ones I had ever had, so I had to call 911 because like you said, I legit thought I was dying, and so they came and picked me up in the ambulance from the hotel and took me to the hospital, and same thing, it's like, once you're there, you know that you're, like, in a safe place, and it
Mm-hmm.
helps bring you down, and it it's weird, you know, it just and then you feel stupid about it because it's like, well, I'm perfectly fine. Like, why can't I tell myself that? Because I know I am.
Yeah.
But they get so bad and get to that point where it's like, okay, your body's literally telling you like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna die. You're gonna die." You
Dude,
know, and it's
yeah. You almost feel like just crawling out of everything you have on and like
yeah,
what is wrong with me? You get naked and like fix me,
right,
you know?
and you get sweaty and yeah, the shakes
Oh
and I
man.
mean, it's just it
See,
but I've noticed since I quit drinking, I haven't had an anxiety attack since, and I don't feel it anymore, you know, and
yep.
like, man, if I woulda just done this a long time ago.
Dude, I have a couple friends that have it and get it, and they're like, dude, how do I how did you get rid of this? How did you? It's like I slowed my life down, bro. Like
Right?
you gotta get rid of the toxic crap in your life because it does numbers to you, dude. And
Yeah, whether you're thinking about it or not,
mm-hmm, yeah, and I was like, quit drinking. Like,
right?
dude, that was it, bro. And like quit the fast pace, the going out every weekend and staying up till
Right.
4 in the morning or that's not good for you, man. And your body just gets sick of it. And it's like, hey, it's telling you something. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like I guarantee and I don't guarantee it, but probably everybody who has anxiety is dealing with some type of substance abuse.
Oh, right, yeah,
And
and it could be even emotional or, you know, I mean, something like that, you know, that like I said, our human body is such a weird thing
mhm,
because, I mean, say you go to the doctor's office, you know, and your blood pressure's through the roof. It's because you're at the doctor, you know, like, you feel fine, you're like, "No, I'm fine," but they're like, "Well, blood pressure's high, and then we'll come back and check it." You know, like, your body just does weird things like that, and you not even realize it, but
yeah.
and
And
not knowing how to calm yourself down.
oh yeah, and that's the hard part. And there's no calming yourself down. It's like you just got to sit it out. But that was the hardest part was like admitting that I had to give up those things. And that's why I
Right.
think I had anxiety so long is because I was like, oh, it can't be from that. No, it's from this, it's I'm going to try to deal with this more and no, it's not from that. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep trying it. Well, maybe I'll give up Jaeger bombs. Maybe Jaeger bombs was
Oh, right.
that Red
Yeah,
Bull and I'm like, nope. It's from partying. And I got to stop and if I want this to go away, I got to just stop partying. And it did, dude. So if anybody's watching and going through that right now, that anxiety, I'm telling you, substance abuse is a big factor to that. And I can attest to it, and I'm sure you can, because it's gone.
definitely.
It's gone for me. Gone. So, well, good for you, man. I'm glad you're 85 days.
86 days, yep.
86 days. Me and Tyler met when we were golfing and actually through a mutual friend and and dude, that is when I was younger, I did the most drinking. Was
Mhm.
golfing. Do you get an itch when you golf?
Oh, I do, definitely, and, you know, it's weird golfing sober, you know, like, because I mean, you know, it was nothing to drink a 12 pack or sometimes more, you know, while you're out there playing and just having fun, you know, and
Uh-huh.
I I've started doing I like the Budweiser Zeros, you know, like, I can still get the taste, you know, and kind of the feeling, but yeah, you know, it's definitely one of those things, like, it's weird how situational stuff like that, you know, where you don't realize it while you're drinking, but then after you quit drinking, it's like, wow, you know, like, a lot of this stuff I couldn't do without a beer in my hand. You know, like, it was just 2 and 2 together, you know?
Yeah. And it almost becomes like a habit, huh? Like it's not that you're craving it. It's like your body's telling you, well, you did it before. Why don't you have that in your hand now while you're doing this
Right.
activity? So it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
huh, yeah. Cause dude, I used to pound them like when I was golfing, and I started golfing at
Yep.
like 20, 21, so 22. So I thought you golf, you drink, man. But that ain't the
Oh yeah,
case, bro. Like, and I'm glad that, me and you can go and we don't have to have that pressure. You know what I mean?
right.
Because we can just go out golf and maybe drink. I'm gonna drink Corona NAs, man. I know they're glass and they're not allowed on the course, but
Oh
those
right, right.
those things taste like Coronas. It's crazy. Like,
Yep.
but since your sobriety journey, I wanted to ask you what what are some of the things that you've been doing to stay sober, I guess.
So on Tuesdays, I go to celebrate recovery at the Sunrise Church in town.
Oh, yeah.
But that helps a lot too. There's a lot of people in there that were like us. Started having the problem and started drinking way too much or using a substance too much. It either or. But it's nice having people that like actually understand because even now, it's I'll have those friends that still party hard and stuff like that, and it's hard to because you want to try and tell them like, hey man, like slow it down a little, but you can't tell other people to live their lives. They got to want to do that for themselves, which I do, and I finally made that choice that I was going to be serious about it because there's been times in the past too where I was like, man, I really need to quit, and I'd slow down a little bit, but then I'd just fall right back in, drinking. Shit, dude, I sometimes I could drink like up to a case a day, sometimes more. That was just the norm of it. But like I said, just keeping my kids in my mind and stuff about it and everything,
Mm.
has really helped. And having that support. One of my biggest things too, I think, was I was very open about it because I figured I was going to get out somehow anyway, and I wanted to get ahead of someone, telling someone else about it. It's like I'd rather everyone hear it just from me, because
Yeah.
I'm proud of it, and I want everyone to know, that you can do it. It sucks, but you can do it. And I don't know, it was a lot easier for me than I thought it was going to be. And it's like I was kicking myself in the butt. It's like, why didn't I do this sooner? It's like there's that worry. It's like, well, what are people going to think? They're going to know that I had a drinking problem. Well, 9 times out of 10, those people probably already knew. They just didn't say anything about it. And people notice a lot more than you think they do,
They sure do,
even though
man.
you don't notice it.
Hmm. That was like my number one, the one that you mentioned, letting people know. Like, that was my number one tip. Like, when I went for a full year just to do it. So,
Right.
um, and like you said, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But people were asking me once I got to like month 6. They're like, "Well, I can't believe he's doing it," you know. And they're like,
Right.
how are you doing this, Dane? Like, I can't stop." I had so many people asking me, "I can't stop. How do I do this?" The first thing I told them, dude, and they didn't want to do it. Like 90% of them didn't want to do it. I said, the first thing you got to do is let it be known to everyone
Yep.
that you are going to stop and that you do not want to do this anymore.
Yourself accountable.
Oh, yep. And I hear, "Oh, I don't know, dude. I don't know if I can do that." And I'm like, if you do that, you're gonna hold yourself accountable, and people are gonna know, and nobody's gonna bother you about doing it.
Right.
And I think that they didn't want to do it, and this was like I said, 90% of the people I talked to that asked me for help,
Mhm.
they said, I I can't do it. And I think they said that because they were afraid to actually give it up. They were sober
Yep.
curious, dude. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I can do it, just if I only know. You can't, bro. I
Yeah,
truly
and there's
believe
no
that.
half and half. You got to go full bore or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, there were times where it's like, okay, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to, work myself down, and you got to be fully committed to it. And that's what a lot of people are scared of
Mm-hmm.
because that's such a big change for you, and like personally and mentally and physically. And a lot of people just aren't ready to do that yet.
No. I believe another factor was is they had FOMO. They had hardcore FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yep.
They did not want to be felt like they were being left out of anything, you know, and that is scary. Like it actually is scary. Like when you said it sucks, it does feel like you're being left out and stuff, dude.
Oh yeah.
And um you got to really learn, and like you said, you got to be serious, man. This is no joke.
Mhm.
And depending how serious you are, yeah, I always knew how serious somebody was when I asked him that first question. If somebody ever asks you like, "How did you do it, Tyler?" I want to see what they say to you when you're like, "You got to make it public. You got to let everybody know that hey,
Right.
I'm done." So yeah, good for you, dude. And that's when you know somebody's serious. How did you hear about this what is it? Celebrate Recovery?
So I know some people that go to church there and stuff, and they actually had talked about it. And then also, so I started seeing a therapist up at the hospital too that was kind of helping me through stuff, and she like helped do some of the outreach stuff, like groups and stuff around the area. I know a lot of the churches here in town have different groups, but that is one thing that I wish they would do a lot better of is advertising that stuff like they used to. You used to be able to get a paper and then the meetings were in the classifieds. Well, now you go buy a paper and there's nothing. I do know there's a number you can call. I can't remember what it is, but yeah, I just heard it by word of mouth and started going, and they break you up and the guys have one group and then the girls have the other group, and you just work a step. And I mean, a lot of it that's helped too is by the grace of God, honestly. I mean, it you don't realize how much he can help you get through this stuff when until you actually start working the steps through the program of recovery and stuff like that, which has helped a lot. Kind of makes you think a lot more too, stuff that you wouldn't normally think about until you see it in front of you, and it's like, wow, I've been missing all this stuff for this long just because I chose to drink instead of,
Yeah.
noticing these steps or signs and stuff in front of me. It's like, geez Louise.
Mm-hmm. That was another thing I would tell people and they wouldn't believe me. Like, I don't know why people were asking me for advice, dude, and they thought that it was all baloney. And I'm like, look at me. Like, look at me. It's working. Why do you think it's
Right.
all like just gibberish? I tell them, you got to admit it and you got to talk to God, bro. Like,
Mhm.
you
Oh, yeah,
absolutely
that's
need it.
exactly. I mean, you don't even have to go to church every Sunday.
No.
Like church is different for everybody. Your church can be throughout your day. You're talking to God, like that could be your church.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, and you can't rely on him for everything. Obviously, you know what I mean. You're not going to expect him to change everything right away. He's there to help you. Like it's helped me immensely, and I noticed like I pray a lot more. I noticed a lot more blessings. Since that I can actually notice. Like I'm sure I was probably getting them. Like he was probably like, dude, you need to knock this shit off. But I was drinking still, so it's like, yeah, whatever, not noticing it. But now it's like, wow, it really opened my eyes to this whole new life that I can live without alcohol.
Mm-hmm. You're like, man, wow, my family's right in front of my face. Like it was there the whole time,
Right,
like to enjoy. Like,
right,
oh man, yeah, and that's the thing, man, is talking to God. People ask me what my religion is, and I'm like, I don't have a religion. I have a relationship with Jesus Christ. Like me and
right.
him have our own relationship, personal relationship. And I think that's the way to get to God, bro, is to
Yep,
get to know him one on one. So
yep.
good for you, man. I'm
And
glad.
so another cool thing too is, so my aunt and her husband, so he started a Celebrate Recovery up in Casper. They're both, ex addicts. They were drug addicts and stuff, and same thing. It's they've completely given themselves to God and stuff like that, and started doing the steps of the recovery program. It's crazy to see, when people are really willing to start and serious about it, how much your life can change for the good, and like it's a full 360. And it's funny. He actually has like a clothing line. It's Jesus is my homie.
Hey, bro. Hey, look at this one. I've been wanting to start a clothing line. That's crazy that you said that because me and my dad have been talking about it. He's like, we need to start a Christian clothing line or like a kind of a
Yeah.
spiritual clothing line. And I always buy spiritual clothing lines, man. Hold on, watch this one. Stay there. Can you read it?
Oh yeah, dude. I like that. Dude, that's legit.
I'm gonna have to get some of Jesus is my homie stuff. That is
Yeah, dude, for sure.
cool. How do I get that? I want to see this.
I'll see if he has a link, and then I can send it to you.
Please, man, please, because I I I love the Jesus gear. I rock the Jesus gear everywhere, and
For sure.
it's not that I'm trying to shove it into people's faces. It's just what I believe,
Right.
man. It's no different than somebody wearing a Bud Light shirt. Hey, that's what you believe
Oh
in?
right.
Sweet. I believe in Jesus Christ. Like,
Oh right. Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
So I've had a few people try to tell me I wear one that says Jesus is King in the gym, and people looking at me funny. I'm like, hey man, I'm not dogging on you because you're wearing that whack Lakers shirt.
Oh right.
Like I'm a Nuggets. Get that Lakers stuff out of here, but I don't say
Right.
it. So keep to yourself. But yeah, just nothing wrong with just spreading the message and just letting it be known. Um,
Oh right.
that's dude. I get hyped up when I start talking about God because that's what saved me from everything. But like you said, He's not gonna do it all for you. You got to put in the
Right.
work, man. He's gonna
Yep.
lay the foundation, but you're gonna have to build your own little home. So cool, man. When I had oh, this is another question I was gonna ask you, and I was thinking about it, and I was gonna tell myself I wouldn't forget, and I almost did. When did you start boozing? Do you remember?
Oh man. It's like everything college, high school, stuff like that. But, it was like on the weekends or, stuff like that. I don't think it really got super serious till, man, it's a hard one trying to look back that long, and
Mm-hmm.
especially with how much I drank since then, type deal. It's like, man, I was forgetting everything. But geez, dude, I'd say within like the last 5 years have probably been like just super rough. Probably I would say, it waking up with the shakes and then cracking open a beer in the morning just to get rid of the shakes. And I should have known then, but it's like, oh well, a beer cures it. It's like, oh, I'll drink my breakfast. But yeah, I'd say probably within like the last 5 years is when I really started, and I mean it was daily. And seeing like how much freaking money I was spending on that stuff, it's like the, the guilt that comes with having a problem like that, dude.
Oh.
It's terrible, and like I was trying to hide it from my wife a lot, and she's not stupid. She knew. And then, I'd turn around and try and turn it on her, because she'd call me out on it. And it's like, well, no, and this and it's just the guilt. If the alcohol didn't kill me, it was probably going to be the guilt from it. It's like, and like I said, the embarrassment and stuff. And growing up with an alcoholic parent too, it's like, I used to get so mad at my mom. And it's like, dude, I'm just being hypocritical as shit right now because I'm no better than she was growing up. Like my kids are dealing with it right now too. And it's like, just that I don't know, dude. I can't express how bad the guilt is with it all. It's like, yeah.
I it's funny because I was just talking about that with a friend of mine. Um, he just celebrated 2 years,
Well,
a couple weeks ago, and I asked him a question. I was like, "Dude, do you ever just deal with like the guilt of the crap that you've done and the
mhm,
condemnation?" And he's like, "No." And then we started talking more, and dude, he's like, you know what sucked is that I just started thinking about the guilt, and I was like, there. I was like, I told you, I knew. And he's like, oh crap. He's like, I do have guilt. You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
everybody has that guilt, man, and it's hard to let go because, especially like you said, when you've kind of seen it happen, and then you're like, oh, I'm not gonna be that way, and then you're doing it, and you're like,
Yep.
oh, like what am I doing? And then
Hmm.
because I had that same kind of epiphany, dude. I was like, I said I would never do this. I said I'd never be this way. And here I am, just
But it's just
being,
so easy
yeah, yeah. And I was like, here I am, just being
because
a dirtbag.
yeah, with how much they put like throw it in your face, like all the commercials, like you go anywhere without seeing something related to alcohol, and that was probably like the hardest thing for me, like right off the bat, or like even going to a gas station. Pretty much every gas station now sells alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
It's like right there, and it's like, man,
Yeah.
get away from that bad. Just like don't even look over there. But
Yeah. Thank goodness. Thank God that, see, mine, I could have beer in the fridge and just leave it there. Like, I was just
yeah,
always that type of guy. My problem is if I touched it, you never knew which stain you were going to get.
right.
You know, it just wasn't good. And it led to other bad things and other things that I wanted that weren't good. So it's like,
Right.
it was just not good for me. But yeah, I understand. I get it, man. I get like that at concerts, though.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, like that's when I'm like, I could really just let loose and have a beer right now, or just have 10 beers throughout the whole concert, but I'm not
Right.
a regular drinker. I'm not, it leads to bad things for me, man. And
Yep.
I go overboard, um, I had to, when I had to really, really tell myself, like, okay, only three, or only two, or only, and if I had to tell myself that, I was like,
I'm not even doing it.
yeah, I got a problem, you know?
Yep.
Like, I should not be set limits for myself. Like,
Right.
it,
Exactly.
if I don't know if like how the normal drinker does it. Do they set limits? That's a question I want somebody to ask or answer.
Oh, I know it's hard, dude. 'Cause I mean, you drive by the bars during, like lunch hour, and there's always people in their bar. Like it's just the normal for them. And it's like, holy cow. And thinking about it too, like some of the older people that are alcoholics, it's like, how are you still alive right now? Because it's like I went through a short. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's short, but like to them, it's a short period of time where I was drinking way too much. They've got like decades under their belt of just nonstop drinking, and it's like, how are you just not falling over or like all your organs shutting down? It's like, no, I don't understand. I'm sure it's like everything else. It affects people differently, whatever.
Hmm.
But I don't know. That's just something I've always thought of too. It's like, how could it affect me? But then I go back to God. It's like, okay, my anxiety attacks for God trying to tell me like, hey, you need to cut this shit out. It's something's not working for you right now, and you need to quit. And that's when I found out, like I had high blood pressure, and it's like, man, I don't want to die of a freaking heart attack when I'm in my 50s, because I drank all through my 20 or half my 20s and into my 30s. It's like I need to get this shit under control because, like I said, it comes back to my kids. I want to be there.
Yeah, yeah. I asked myself that too, and actually, me and a buddy, he's like, how have some of these guys who are like 60, or or getting approaching 60, they've been partying like this for a long time,
Right.
and it just they're fine. So I'm like, is there such a thing as a responsible drinker? Is there such a thing as a guy who just has some drinks and can handle that? Or
Right.
I don't know. So I was like, I want somebody to answer that question.
Right.
I want to ask that person that has one drink at dinner if they say I'm only having one drink tonight, or do they just go in there and say I'll have a beer and then they go home. Like,
Um,
But I don't know. There's so much to this, man. Like every person has their own struggle in a different way, and
Right.
it's hard to for me to give advice and have you listen to it and say it's gonna work because it might not, you know.
Right. Yeah,
So,
everyone's got their own different, for
mm,
sure. I get you.
do they talk about that like in Celebrate Recovery, like different kind of, I guess, drunks? You know what I mean? There's some that do it on the weekend, and then there's some that can't be away from it at all. You know what I mean? So I've always wondered.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we there's pretty much every kind of drunk in there that you can think of. I mean, like I was a functioning. Like I could be at work, and no one would even know that I was drinking. Slip off to my pickup and go chug a couple beers real quick, and then go back to work and stuff like that. And then there were some that would wait till the end of the day and then just hit it hard. And some would wait till the weekends, but it was like every weekend, and then it started turning into a couple days a week and stuff like that. So yeah, there's definitely different certain like scenarios and stuff of how people used to have their problem with drinking. It's like you said, it's hard to talk to someone like, and yeah, this is my story, but they have like a whole different scenario playing out in their life from the alcohol. It's like, so it is hard, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, because you don't know. Okay, they started like they had a childhood trauma, maybe that's why they're drinking, but they, like, and the different kind of drinking they're doing too, whether it's beer, wine, hard liquor, and I mean, I'm not trying to justify like beer's not the worst for you because all alcohol is bad, but like the hard liquor definitely, like I know some people that can drink like a whole bottle of Pendleton, sometimes more in a day. And it's like, dude, like you want to try and justify that beer's not, at least beer's not that bad, but it's like it really is, like you got to bring it down to just like alcohol is alcohol, whether or
Hmm.
not it's beer, like just because it's lower content doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah, yeah. Doesn't mean that you're any better.
Right, exactly.
I'm less of an alcoholic because I only drink beer and you drink whiskey all day. Like,
Right. Like, no, we still got the same problem there at least, but yeah,
mhm.
it's cool, a lot of the stuff we talk about, and definitely like so they have like these books for us and stuff, and it's got all the steps in them and stuff like that, and curriculum of it is like amazing. Brings up a bunch of different like discussion topics and stuff. Like I was telling you earlier, it brings up stuff that you would never think of, until you like read it and you're like, oh wow, like, and hearing someone else say, oh man, I was going doing this, and it's like, and it's crazy too because some of them like you look at them and you're like, you wouldn't think they had a drinking problem, it's like holy cow. Then again, it's like, okay, you go back to functioning alcoholic, and it's like, holy cow, dude, I can't believe I was like that, because I could fool anybody except my wife, but I'd be super irritable and have anger issues, and like I'd be sleeping or fall asleep in my chair, and she'd try and wake me up, and I'd just sleep right through it and stuff like that. And she even told me, she's like, I could tell that you quit because she's like, I can actually wake you up now if you fall asleep in your chair. Like she would tell me something the night before, and then I'd wake up the next morning not remembering like what she had said or anything like that, or and sometimes it was like, the hell did we have for supper last night? And just all the different signs. It's like, man, then you kick yourself in the butt. It's like, why did I let myself get that bad?
Yeah. Hey, I tell you what, we got to give it up to our significant others,
Definitely,
sticking through the
for sure.
bull crap that we put them through. I don't know how
You,
if you have or not, but I can tell you, man, the one she stuck by my side, bro,
yep,
and never gave up, and that's a real person for you. That's somebody who should be in your life, and you should
exactly.
cherish for forever. Because I've
Yep,
had a
because I
lot. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, because I've given her plenty of reasons, good reasons to just walk out, and it's like you said, she stuck with me and helped me through a lot of it too, and definitely her support has helped a lot.
Yeah. So, and I've had plenty leave me. You know, so and not just women, just people that were sick of it, you know. Um,
Yep.
so shout out to my fiance, love you very much. Um, yeah, and the ghosting thing, dude. That ghost hunting stuff, I bet you that takes your mind. Is that one thing that takes your mind off of, that one thing that you can do and you just feel like nothing else matters, you know?
Yes. Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, so there were some times, where I would drink throughout the investigation, we'd take a break, and I'd go drink a couple beers, like, that's how bad I was, but it definitely is, and, my work now, like, keeps my mind really busy because there's a lot of stuff that I can mess up if I'm not paying attention and stuff like that, so I've noticed, like, definitely keeping my mind busy and stuff like that, and, like, I like to do, like, woodworking and, you know, make wood burnt signs and stuff like that. Uh, and plus, like, my kids are really busy with sports too, so that helps out a lot too. And but yeah, I've learned definitely keeping my mind busy and thinking about other things definitely helps.
Yeah. Yeah, I found myself, and it's weird because you wouldn't have done those things had you been partying, or you know what I mean? Like,
Right,
I'd be too tired or too hungover, or now
right,
it's like, oh man, like I couldn't imagine having a child and having that problem, dude. Like, oh, I could not keep up. I wouldn't be able to keep
right,
up with them. So yeah, I mean, I can't imagine not being able to play baseball with my son, or um learn to play the guitar again. Um
right.
I find myself picking up the things that I let go a long time ago.
No, exactly, dude. Sure, because the drinking got in the way. Like it just pushed everything out. It made alcohol basically made itself like your number one priority. At least for me, and because I was to a point, it's like, man, I'm just too tired. Like, and that was always my excuse. Oh, I'm too tired from work, even though, I wasn't, but I knew it was from, just from fucking drinking all day. And it's like, so then again, it comes back to guilt. It's like, 'cause the kids would be like, Dad, let's play, let's roughhouse. And it's like, no, I don't want to. Like, I just want to sit in my chair and relax. And, looking back, it's like, man, I got to that place that I said I was never going to.
Hmm. Learning to forgive yourself is so hard, man. I've kind of learned just to give it up to God and let it go, because what's done is done. I did it. Um, I know that people that love me still love me, and the ones that choose not to won't go. That's their choice. And
Right.
but I made sure I told everyone sorry. Um, did you have to go through any type of apologies, or do they make you do that in
I,
like the recovery, celebrate recovery?
yeah. So
Oh.
they like some of the stuff they ask, like it's and a lot of it's like Bible related questions, like different verses and stuff. But like one that we did was relating to how someone wronged someone in the Bible, and then it asks you like list some ways that you've ever wronged somebody or, because of your addiction and stuff like that, and it's like, wow, like actually having to list this, and it's like, stuff like you said that you were just trying to keep in, and it's like, wow, and but for that stuff to work, like you actually got to go through with it, and so actually writing, like I said, writing that stuff down and seeing that stuff, it's like, holy cow, like I was kind of a piece of crap, it, like, picking up all the change I can find around the house to just go get a tall boy or something. It's like, wow, like,
Oh
or
wow.
saying, oh yeah, I need $20 for gas, but then turn around like going and buying a 12 pack and then putting what's left over into the gas. It's like, oh wow, I only got like $3 in gas, but just stuff like that. It's like, man,
Yeah, you start lying to get some booze,
yep.
or huh? Yeah. Well, you said you read through that book, in Celebrate Recovery for the 12 Steps. What was one thing that you read? And because you said there's some things that people would read and be like, "Whoa," and it resonated with them. What was that one thing that you remember, if you have any at all, that you read and you were like, "Whoa, never thought of
I
that."
think the one was like definitely the wronged one stuck out to me because it asked like who had wronged you in the past and like what they did and stuff like that, and it asked, like, about their addictions and stuff like that, if they had any, and stuff like that, so, like, that one definitely stuck with me because I wanna almost say too, like, I mean, this is true, you know, like, alcoholism is definitely, like, it can be hereditary, and I feel like that was partially to do with me, so, like, the blame of my mom, it's like, well, you know, like, he's the reason why I turned into an alcoholic, and to some point, I guess you could say that that's true, but then it boils down to, like, well, I'm the one that chose, you know, to start drinking that much, and it's I'm trying to think. It's hard because once you write that down, you don't really I mean, you can think about it, you know, it's like, okay, but the depth that you actually go into thinking, you know, like, once you're actually reading this and writing it down, just kinda sit there and you stir on it a little bit, and it definitely opens up different, like, scenarios that could have played out differently, I guess, is the best thing to say, but that one is definitely stuck with me because I blamed my mom so much, and, like, that gave me a lot of animosity towards my mom, and it still kinda does, but it's hard to blame someone else for your problems because you're your own person, you know?
Hmm.
But and again too, it's still some blame there because, you know, it's like, okay, well, she coulda tried to get help, and you know, like, I've tried to help her, you know, come with me to meetings because I used to go to AA back in the old Class Act building when they still had them too, but she just it the frustration of it too is, like, helping yourself, but then because it does help to have someone else, like, go with you and, like, you know, be on that journey with you and stuff like that, and so, like, I was trying to help her go with me, you know, like, to get her help too, and
Yeah.
just like, "No, I don't wanna go. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna do that," and it just the frustration of it too, it's like, you know you have a problem too. I know you have a problem. A lot of people do. It's like and the same for me too. It's like some people can hide it really well, like I could. And then there's some people that, you know, because how I never got a DUI, dude, I have no freaking idea.
Wow, good for you though,
I and there was one time too, I was pulled over because I had expired tags on my car, and highway patrolman's like, "You have anything in the vehicle?" I was like, "No." He's like, "What can I search?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, I had forgotten that I had a bunch of empty beer cans stashed in my front passenger seat underneath some coats that I was trying to hide." Well, he found them, and some of them still had beer in it, but he told me, he's like, "I could tell you haven't been drinking yet today." And I was like, "No, I haven't." Just let me go with a warning, dude. I mean, that should have been my first time, but that was like, I'd say probably like 5, 6 years ago, you know, and it's like, holy cow, dude, you know, and there's been plenty of times where I've been drinking and driving, you know, it's like, oh, some road beers after work or, you know, and it's just crazy. I mean, I've gotten very lucky because there should have been times where I should have gotten a DUI, but the grace of God, I didn't, you know, but and how some people don't either. It just amazes me. But yeah, the animosity is really hard for me, I would say, still, even though I don't drink anymore. But it's like I you know, God always says, you know, forgive, forgive, and just it that's a hard thing to do sometimes, man. Like, especially knowing that someone wronged you like that, like growing up, and especially like your parent, you know, and just it. I don't know. Sometimes it's like not fair. I guess I want to say, you know, like plus you see other people, you know, that have I'm gonna say normal parents have a cocktail after work or something like that. You know, not go super crazy, not show up to your sporting events or school activities drunk or hammered. You know, it's like get that jealousy too. You know, and stuff like that. And I was definitely mean to my mom throughout school because I knew of her problem. You know, and again, we're right back to guilt too because, you know, I was not nice to my mom, and I'm still kinda struggling with her problem right now too because she watches my kids after school, you know, and it's just like, man, you know, I just want my mom to be a good grandma, but it's like it's kinda hard when got that problem. It it's really hard and it's sad because especially coming from me, an alcoholic, and I was able to turn my life around, and it's like everyone should want that once you notice that you get to a certain point where it's like, man, enough is enough. And it's hard because everyone's like rude awakening is different, like and just wanting to do that for yourself, that willpower that a lot of people lack or don't realize that they have. Like I didn't realize I had the willpower to quit drinking until I just made the choice, and I took my anxiety attack as my get out of jail free card. It was like I'm here, and they offered me help. It's like praise Jesus that I came to the hospital today because here I am, 86 days later, sober, and it just it I don't know. It's kind of hard trying not to judge. It's others because it's like, man, I can't sit here. That's like the pot calling the kettle black. It's I was there too. And that's something that I still kind of struggle with. Is my relationship with my mom. But yeah, the book has definitely kind of helped with that. Um, there's 4 different books with like lessons throughout each of them and stuff. But it it was just amazing, like actually going into deep thought about some of the stuff. Like who wronged you and just sitting there thinking about like growing up and stuff like through alcoholism, I guess, and it it's just weird thinking back. It's like, man, like if I could go back, I'd probably like and talk to my younger self and tell him like what happened. Younger me would probably, at me in the face, like, dude, what the heck's wrong with you? Like, why would you even do that, man? Like, and it's definitely been hard and stuff and trying to work through things and stuff like that you're used to fix temporarily.
Yeah,
They woke up the next morning feeling like crap, and that problem's still there.
yeah, that's true, man. Yeah, I heard the one. So when I was saying like it's hard to forgive, and especially yourself, like we were talking about, the one thing I heard a pastor say, and it really just helped me out, man. He's like, forgiving ain't benefiting them; it's benefiting you. And I was
Yep.
like, oh wow, I always thought like, oh,
Right.
I'm gonna forgive them, and that they're gonna be like, oh, I'm scot free, and what I did was fine. No, that's not even the case. Me forgiving them is helping me. It's not making them feel better. It's
Right.
helping me just be more free, man. Letting it go. And but things like you were talking about are hard to let go and hard to forgive, but I think you're well on your way, Tyler. I really do, man.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, that's why I agreed to do this. I'm open with it, and like we talked about, like that is, I think, probably one of the best things anyone can do is that accountability,
Mhm.
and you find out who your true friends are real quick, honestly,
Yeah.
because people that you used to go out and party with, stuff like that. Yeah, it's fine that they still drink, but they know, like, 'cause I've got some friends that are, that still drink and stuff like that, but they're like, "Hey, man, like, is this okay if we, drink with lunch?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, that's fine. Thanks for asking. It's really not that bad. Like, plus the friends that walk away because you quit drinking and that was the only time you ever hung out was because they wanted to go party. Like at the time, it's like, oh man, like they're really good friends. I can't afford to lose that friend type deal. But then once you get like to this point, like holy cow, like maybe that was, kind of an eye opener too. It's like maybe they're not really the friend I thought they were, or and it's hard too on that spot because people can get mad at you for wanting to do better for yourself. When at the end of the day, it's like you got to look out for number one first.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's yeah, they think you're that's a good point, man. And I think I brought that up at one time in one of my other podcasts. People think that you're trying to act higher up when you get sober,
Mhm.
that you're superior, especially when you find God too. oh, look at him. Who does he think
Yep.
he is? He did all this stuff in the past, and he did. Well, guess what? That's they're saying that because they've never read the good book. The good book says, "Leave the
Right.
past behind you, man. You're forgiven. You can start
Yep.
all over. You are born again." You know. So it's not that you're trying to say, "Oh, I'm better than you." It's because you know you're not better. You know
Right.
that you're not better than everybody else. That you have to do this for yourself. You
Yep.
know.
And honestly too, like I feel like if you go to Denver, and you see a lot of people on the streets, then you could just tell that they have like a drug issue and stuff like that, or any kind of issues. It's crazy to think too, like how judgmental you used to be towards them until you realize, like, oh wow, like I said, I'm no better than like what they are, or what
Mm,
they are right now. It goes back to like, okay, beer's not as bad as the hard liquor. It's like a substance is a substance, no matter like what it is that you're addicted to. And it like wow, can't believe, I used to think less of these people. And then, it's like, oh, he's a recovering drug addict. Like, oh man, and now it's like,
Go get a
oh dude, that's awesome,
job.
man. Like, it's like, dude, that's awesome. Congrats, man. Like like, holy cow, you did it, and but
Hmm.
so like I just had Jade bring me like these are kind of like what the books look like
Oh, okay.
taking an honest and spiritual inventory. Like some of the questions, let's see, I can find one that I've done.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
And they're full of verses that like pertain to what's going on and like addiction and stuff like that, like get you through, honestly, which is really cool. Let's see. So like it asks questions like, why is it important for you to have a support team? Like, do you have a sponsor? Stuff like that. I don't have a sponsor yet. Like we all just have a group chat that we talk to. Like we're all kind of each other's sponsors, but some programs do have like individuals or individual sponsors. But
Right. And you can't have a woman as a sponsor, right? Like a
I
man to woman. You can't.
right, yeah, it's gotta. Yep, that's right. You gotta have. Yep, you gotta have a guy sponsor if you're a guy.
Okay.
And like this one, how have you used denial to attempt to guard your mind? I mean, deep questions, man. That like you have to actually sit there and think, and then like when it comes to you, it's like, holy cow! It's like just it's amazing. That's the only way I can really describe it.
Yeah. You got to really think about it. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like that was
and
a
actually
deep
being able to do it
question.
with like a yeah, actually being able to do it with like a clear head and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's insane.
You read that question and it made me think, and I was like, I don't think I could answer that right now. Uh,
Right.
like
And that's the thing is it's crazy, man. And those questions, like they sit there too. It's like, yeah, you put down, like what you think of at the time, like when it actually comes to you, but then like a week later, you're like, I just thought of something else too for that question, or like they're constantly keeping you thinking about this stuff, which helps a lot.
yeah, it's like that reading the question plants the seed, and
Yep.
then you just continue to like grow within that answer, and that answer just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and then you're like, man, I figured it out.
Yep. Exactly.
That's wild. Wow. And where'd you get that book?
So that's the Celebrate Recovery here
Mm,
in Torrington. Yep.
okay. And what's the
I mean,
title?
so they're all different. There's 4 different books. This one is Taking an Honest and Spiritual Inventory. Book 3 is Getting Right with God, Yourself, and Others. 4 is Growing in Christ While Helping Others. And I have the book 1 out in my pickup because at work I go through it and do my steps and stuff like that. But
Good
yeah,
for
they're all just
you.
for different aspects of everything, man. And
Mm,
it helps a lot.
yeah.
Yeah, we meet every Tuesday at 6.
Every Tuesday at 6. Okay. At
Yep.
sunrise. And that's by Pizza Hut, right?
Yep. It's the old Shopco.
There you go. See what you guys should do after you're all done. Go to Pizza Hut, drink some sodas, get some pizzas.
Right?
That right there, man. Yeah, there's your group. Yeah, you form a new
Right?
group, man. And you've always been my friend. So
Oh, yeah.
ever even when we were partying or whatever, me and you've always and it's good to see friends on the same side.
Oh, definitely, dude.
Oh
Sure.
man, it's same journey. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Now we can golf and just kind of relax or do whatever,
Yep.
man. You ever want to? Hey, what are you doing? Let me stop by the house. Cool, man. Yeah, come on over. I'm watching UFC. You know what
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean?
for sure, dude.
On the
For
90
sure.
inch, bro. You should see the 90.
Oh, boy. I
Oh,
don't know if I'd yeah, watching like this.
one time they kicked and I was like, I could smell his foot on that one. I was like, I could
Oh,
actually
you're
smell his.
dodging, like
Yeah. I get punched. I'm like,
wow.
the basketball's
Oh,
passed.
man.
I'm like,
You're like,
dang. Hey, I can't wait to watch the Masters on there. If you want to watch
"Oh,
the
dude.
Masters next weekend on there, bro, come on down, dude. Maybe
Oh,
we'll
heck yeah.
set something
Yeah,
up. You know what I mean? That's gonna look
sure.
sweet on there. So let me know, and
Yeah, definitely,
we
dude.
can do that. Well, everybody, thank you, Tyler,
Yeah, no problem, man.
for
Thank
your
you.
time, dude. That was very beneficial, man. What a story, and people need to hear it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you're gonna help a lot. Like I said, your story is gonna move mountains, man. All these testimonies, are gonna move mountains, and we're gonna let it be known that a lot of people are unaware of who's sober. You
Right.
know, I've posted some of these videos, and I've gotten some messages, and they're like, "Dude, I didn't know so and so was sober. Dude, I didn't know so and so." Let's make
Yep.
sober cool, cause sober's cool, dude.
Exactly.
Sober's cool.
That could be one of your shirts.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd rock that.
Sober's cool. Let's start some here, Tyler. And if anybody steals that, let's
Sure.
patent it right now. I will sue you
Right?
for all your.
You seen it you seen it here first.
Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. Back to you, Tyler.
Oh, man.
Dane, we're out here. The wind is howling.
Oh, man.
All right, Tyler. Well, you have a great rest of your night, man. And is there anything that you would like to tell somebody who's thinking about being sober or is sober? Um, any words that of encouragement or anything?
I guess the only thing I can say, uh, from my experience is denial is definitely a big thing, 'cause with me there towards the end with me drinking, it's like, oh, constantly sit there over and over and over telling yourself that, oh, I don't have a problem. I'm fine. I don't have a problem. But once you can like actually say that you do have a problem, like we talked about, the accountability of it, that helps so much. And you will be so surprised how like many people will actually be supportive of you getting sober. And I encourage people to come to Sunrise every Tuesday at 6 for Celebrate Recovery. It's a judgment free zone. Everyone's got stories that, like thought you did something crazy. Well, Joe Blow sitting next to you did something even crazier. I mean,
Yep.
we're there to help each other, and it's for the help of God. You can do it. Honestly,
Yep. Yep.
Mark Nike.
Yeah. Don't quit quitting.
Right. Exactly.
Well, awesome, Tyler. That's awesome, man. I'm glad. Like I said, I'm glad we're on the same page here. And if you ever want to come on over and talk, bro, or
Oh, definitely.
like I said, watch UFC, or if you see a UFC thing on, say, hey, Dane, you watching the UFC? Are you watching the Masters? Hit me up, man, and we'll I guess hang out. You know,
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
maybe we can even create a fellowship of people of like you said, the drinkers have their little crowd. Why not make a little fellowship of sober crowd?
Right.
So, all right, man. Well, you take care, and God bless you and God bless your family, brother.
Same to you, man.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. And Goshen Paranormal Society.
Oh yeah.
I'll be waiting for your call.
Sounds good, buddy.
All right. See ya.
All right, bye.